Yes, yes, Sir Hairless here. Today we are going back 11 years to 2014 because Pentatonix uploaded a video which is them singing a cover of the very famous song Happy. Happy by Pharrell Williams has nearly 1.5 billion views on YouTube. It really did take the world by storm when it was released, and it was also released in 2014, so Pentatonix were quite quick to jump on the trend. As the name might suggest, the song is quite happy, quite lively, energetic. So let's see what Babytonix do with it.
One, two, three, come on.
How you feeling? Happy. Tell me how you feeling? Happy. We about to do this cause we happy, 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 happy. Hey, it might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Oh, sunshine, she said you're gonna take a break. Hey, and I'm alone and we can go to space. Oh no, with the air like I don't care, baby, run away. Because I belong if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I belong if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I belong if you know what happiness is and you know. I belong if you feel like that's what you wanna do.
Happy. You know I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling happy. You know I'm feeling. Yeah.
Come the bad news.
Yeah, very cool indeed. As we can see, this is one of the older format ones. We've done another couple of videos in a similar format. Evolution of Michael Jackson, evolution of music. And I do like these ones because this is real, true, live a cappella. What we're hearing now, if they were to go and sing it without any microphones in a room with not great acoustics, the sound would be very, very similar. We don't have all these other layers or even extra parts in there. It's a very authentic sound and one that I would call quite typical a cappella in the older style, which Pentatonix have kind of veered away from as they have grown to a size I don't think anyone could have ever imagined. Just a quick pause, maybe I'll do one more, but I think we'll just go through the bits at the end, really.
Who's talking this name? Oh. Well, give me all you got and don't hold me. Now I should probably warn you I will be just fine. Now I should probably warn you I will be just fine. No offense to you, but don't waste your time. Cause I'm alone if you feel like a room without a room. Because I'm alone if you feel like happiness is for you. Hey, I'm alone if you know happiness is for you. Hey, I'm alone if you feel like that's what you wanna do.
You know, I get so happy. You know, I get so happy. You know, I'm feeling happy. You know,
Are they going to come in one by one?
Cause I'm feeling so happy. Cause I'm feeling fine. Cause I'm feeling so happy. Cause I'm feeling fine. Cause I'm feeling so happy. Cause I'm feeling fine. Happy, hey. Cause I'm feeling fine. Because I'm alone.
I thought I'd been baited there into an early finish. I obviously can't watch these videos before I do a reaction, but usually when you hover over down here, if the song does finish early, as is often the case with Pentatonix, they'll do a little speech at the end. You can just hover your mouse and see, but yeah, that little silence was a nice surprise. That slightly strange section we heard, that is in the original song. Of course, Pentatonix have made little a cappella adjustments. I did find myself watching the clapping for, I don't know, 5-10 seconds there. The clapping is really prominent and important element of this arrangement, in my opinion. I was planning on speaking about it later, but in the bit we just heard, they've moved from this double clap to just single claps. And Kirsty was almost sliding, and I was thinking, oh, is that even audible? Our brains work in weird and wonderful ways, don't they? Anyway, let's carry on until the end.
Because I'm alone if you feel like a room without a rule. Hey, I'm alone if you feel like happiness is the truth. No, that's what you wanna do. Bring me down, nothing can no. Bring me down, no, my level's too high. Oh, sing with me, because I'm feeling every note, I'm feeling every note, I'm feeling every note. That's what you wanna do.
Very nice, very happy. A lot of energy at the end. We saw the claps becoming super, super quick. I was pointing at Kirsty as well, but these videos came up. Let's have another look here on the right. Yeah, very nice to see something like that a cappella in its true form. I imagine there's been minimal work done to it in post-production, and it's videos like this that are so helpful for anyone who wants to be able to improve at hearing the different parts. What part is Mitch singing? What's Kirsty singing? Overall, the structure was like we saw so much of with Pentatonix in their early days, especially in the sing-off, for example, where you have Scott with the solo, Mitch and Kirsty providing the two backing parts, and then Avi on the bass and Kevin on the beatbox, often with a real good synergy between those two. Again, with modern Pentatonix, whose direction has slightly changed, the arrangements are often not in this structure at all and change much more within any single arrangement. So it's cool to see how they've grown, how they've progressed from here. Anyway, let's go back to the beginning. I will watch it through and just point out any things I find to be particularly noteworthy or interesting. I liked the opening, how Kevin counted in, and then we just had body percussion.
1, 2, 3, come on.
That's a surprise.
Tell me how I'm feeling happy.
And those happies there, very quick, disjointed staccato from Mitch and Kirsty, actually are very difficult to sing perfectly in tune. They nail it, which, let's face it, is to be expected. To be honest, this is Pentatonix after all. But it is these moments, these little things that might seem simple, that are the things that can cause tuning discrepancies, even a little bit, even by the best singers in the world. Some things are just much more difficult than they might seem to do.
How you feeling happy?
I mean, we can kind of hear on that first happy that it's a bit not perfect. But again, I think that's good. It shows this is a live, raw, authentic performance. The second one, though, as perfect as it can be.
Tell me how you feeling happy.
Which is a testament to the relationship between Mitch and Kirsty, especially in this structure I just spoke about. Those two acting as a kind of backing part for Scott at the front.
We about to do this cause we happy, 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 happy. Hey, it might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Then Scott joins them and we see those three often singing together homophonically, which is exactly what we get. Kevin comes in, then the bass comes in. The structure is basically being shown to us part by part. And what I love here is the aesthetic side of it as well. Mitch and Kirsty with these claps, which, as I said before, I think are a super important part of this arrangement. Very, very important. But they're both facing outwards, and then they turn and face inwards. So simple, so effective, especially when you just have a plain black background like this. The color that they're all wearing really pops off because of it. It's a very well thought out, simple video. It just works really well.
Happy, happy,
Even the hand
hey,
movements.
it might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Oh, sunshine, she said you're gonna take it.
And as we have heard, the arrangement grows as it moves on. The original song is kind of like this.
Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break.
Just beat and melody, and then the bass part comes in a bit more subtle here, and some backing parts. Pentatonix know that they have to grow throughout the performance, so Mitch and Kirsty don't have any overwhelming parts straight from the off. Everything's quite reserved, but calculated.
Oh, sunshine, she said you're gonna take a break. Hey.
Scott is getting very much into it. Speaking of Scott with the melody, one thing I have not yet mentioned is the key. As we just heard by that example, Pentatonix aren't singing in the same key as the original song. The original song is in F, but Pentatonix are singing a couple of notes lower in E flat. This is, I think, just because of Scott's range. Pharrell has a higher natural voice. Especially when singing in chest voice, it's very easy to switch over to your head voice, to your falsetto at the higher ranges, but it often won't be as powerful, might sound a bit weaker. And for an energetic song like this, you definitely want to be using Scott's chest voice at the upper ranges. The very funny thing about this song, being called Happy, back to the key, you'll notice that I didn't specify if it's in major or minor, the original song. I just said it's in F. Funnily enough, it's in F minor. And as we know, minor is typically associated with sadness and major is associated with happiness. If you said, I'm going to write a song called Happy, you would for sure think it's going to be in a major key. That's one really interesting thing about the original song, which leads me onto the clapping, which I said is so important. If you have a song written in a minor key, you will naturally have many occurrences of minor chords, sadder sounding chords. The natural energy from a harmonic standpoint, therefore, will not come from the notes themselves. They'll come from the other elements, the rhythms, the structure, the beat, which is why I think these claps are so important, so much energy being injected in from them.
Out in the room and we can go to space. Oh no. With the
And Kevin's part as well, it's so understated. He's working hard, let's watch him. It's just very understated in this kind of, you know, that kind of thing, along with the clapping, the body percussion, and Avi's energetic slap bass almost. They all work really well.
yeah, like I don't care, baby, run away. Because I'm alone if you feel like a room without a roof.
As for the arrangement, there's not too much to say. I think it's fairly self-explanatory about what's going on here. Scott with the melody, Kirsty and Mitch, long, elongated vowel sounds to make the sound fuller. If this was done by modern Pentatonix in 2025, they would probably be adding in other layers in the background, possibly even some other added parts like we've seen in Hallelujah, or another very big one I have filmed, but I'm actually waiting to release because of copyright. So if you're watching this in June of 2025, stay tuned for my next Pentatonix video. But the point is, in some of their newer things, they do sing more than 5 parts, which is completely fine. And even if they do sing in 5 parts, you'll often have those same 5 parts just layered many times to give the effect of a big chorus singing. These older performances, which I will call them the raw performances, such as this one, we don't have this sound of a chorus. So if you're going to get a fuller sound from just 5 people, you need to change the note lengths. Longer, sustained notes rather than energetic, sporadic parts.
Alone if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm alone if you know it.
It's also interesting just how alike Mitch and Kirsty's parts are. You'll notice that they are almost exclusively singing homophonically together. So singing the same thing in the same rhythms at the same time. The only difference between them is the notes because they're singing in harmony. We're 1 minute in and we've not yet heard them have any individualness to their parts from each other. For example, Mitch singing something and then Kirsty and then Mitch again. It's always at the same time. There will be a reason for this. I don't know what that reason is. Only they will know. You can decide for yourself what that reason might be. I think it's just to reinforce the structure because the song is so well known, so familiar. It was a real global hit when it came out at the time. And when you have songs that are such hits like that, especially when the purpose of it is to be uplifting, perhaps it's a good idea not to try and change it around too much. Happy music. I mean, let's just play a few seconds again and just see the energy.
Happiness is you, no. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
We notice how rhythmic it is, and having these quick, jumpy rhythms is really almost like a cheat code of a happy bit of music. If you have a piece of music whose purpose is to make you feel sad or very, very emotional, having these uplifting, bouncy, jumpy rhythms, well, you can't really do it. So you have to turn much more to the harmony, to the chords, to the scrunchy, perhaps, or dissonant harmonies. So keeping this in mind, I think that's another strength of this arrangement. It doesn't need to be too complex. It just has to have the key elements of jumpy, energetic, happy music, which it clearly does, and seeing them, how much they're enjoying it, you know, laughing, moving around, all contributes to this very happy feeling. If you enjoy these videos or find them helpful, please consider supporting me. Patreon has a bunch of exclusive benefits, behind the scenes videos, additional reaction content, Q&A videos, and more. For a one-time donation, you can donate me a hot chocolate at the Buy Me a Coffee link, or become a YouTube member for these groovy emojis and membership badges. And a huge thank you to these lovely people on the screen now.
That's what you want to do.
Happy. You know I'm feeling happy.
This bit's funny, and one of the first real moments where we don't have this homophony between Mitch and Kirsty. The parts are coming in one by one.
I'm feeling happy. You know I'm feeling. Yeah.
Come the bad news.
I feel like I've said the main points I wanted to say about the arrangement as a whole. As we said before, it doesn't need to be complicated or anything like that, but Pentatonix therefore need to not make it boring and not just a complete copy of the original song. They need to get variety in there somehow. So how do they do it? Here's a good example. Again, let's focus on Mitch and Kirsty. They really have the filler parts of the arrangement.
No offense to you, but don't waste your time, 'cause I'm coming on.
Simply just going from to a ba 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 bum ba da bum. And we've now heard this change. What do they then go into?
If you feel like a room without a room.
The chorus, an idea we have heard before, but we don't need something new here because we've just had a new idea. It's a famous song. The audience will probably be familiar with it. So yeah, just give us what we already know. This was the clapping moment I was speaking about earlier. Let's look at Kirsty here.
If you feel like a room without a room, because
It's actually not that interesting. I don't know why I was looking at that for so long. In my head, I was comparing her going up and down to Mitch just clapping like that. It's been a long day, can you tell? A couple more interesting moments, such as here.
that's what you wanna do.
Full homophony, then this sound, the idea of growth. We saw them do that in the sing-off. And then...
You know, I guess so. You know, I guess so.
In case anyone watching doesn't know the original song, let's find that moment. I can't show more than a few seconds, unfortunately, because of copyright.
Bring me down, can't none.
But we can see how it goes straight into that descending, which Mitch and Kirsty do here. They have just extended it on both ends at the end and this beginning bit with Kevin and this funny little thing that he's doing here, and then Avi coming in.
You know,
I'm feeling, I'm feeling sorry. 'Cause I'm feeling, I'm feeling, I'm feeling. 'Cause I'm feeling, I'm feeling so heavy.
And of course, some other ideas as well. Pentatonix have, I think, become quite well known for that. In, I think, my favorite Pentatonix arrangement or video I've seen so far, that was Carol of the Bells. They added in this whole section, new musical ideas, really putting a pentatonic stamp on it. We've seen it in a number of their other arrangements. So that's always nice to see. And then how they morph so smoothly into the more familiar structure of the original song.
'Cause I'm feeling, I'm feeling, I'm feeling, feeling fine. Happy, hey. 'Cause I'm feeling, I'm feeling, I'm feeling, feeling fine.
And then we move into the last section, which we've already spoken about a bit. At the start, I mentioned the key difference because of Scott's range. And here's a good example, actually. Listen to Scott. You saw the change, the very clear change between those first two notes. Happy, happy. And then the second two lower down. And then he's in this or blended voice there as well to make sure the sound is soft along with everyone else. And that's why I thought it might have actually ended, because this reduction in sound. Well, let's leave that one there. I did enjoy that. It's a very fun original song, and I think Pentatonix did a very nice, authentic take on it. Not the most complex of arrangements, but this is one of those songs where it would probably do more harm than good to make the arrangement too complex. There would have been a lot of people, I imagine, discovering Pentatonix through this song on YouTube who might not be familiar with acapella at all. So hearing this sing, this created just by human voices, whilst also seeming like a very familiar song that they know and can sing and dance along to. Yeah, I'm sure it worked massively in Pentatonix's favor. Let me know your thoughts on this one. If you prefer the older Pentatonix or the newer style of Pentatonix, would really appreciate a like, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you next time.